ESL Conversation Class, student-centered versus teacher-fronted. Some research. Some people assume that if a teacher is not standing at the front of the class talking to the students, who are sitting in their desks listening, he or she is not teaching. In fact, a colleague once told me that if she isn't talking to the whole class of students, then she feels like she isn't doing her job. A teacher-fronted class in which the teacher is giving a lecture to students might be effective for content courses like history or math or psychology or economics, in which the teacher is passing on information to the students. But when we are teaching skills like conversation and writing and reading and even grammar, a teacher-fronted approach can actually be a detriment to students' development. In this video, I'll focus on teaching conversation and discussion skills in a student-centered versus teacher-fronted ESL classroom. In traditional classroom organization, the teacher has been the focus and the initiator throughout the lesson for the whole class. However, in ESL conversation classes, teachers have found that giving students more autonomy by having them practice in pairs and small groups has great benefits. First, there are some disadvantages to teacher-fronted conversation lessons. Researchers have found that in teacher-fronted classrooms, the teacher talks between 1/2 and 2/3 of the entire class period. If we look at a 1-hour class, this would mean that the teacher would talk at least 30 minutes of each lesson, and the students would have 30 minutes to speak. If the class had 15 students, on a per capita basis, each student would be allotted 2 minutes to speak during the hour. Can you imagine trying to learn how to play tennis and most of the time you spend watching the coach hit the ball? Or trying to learn how to drive a car and the driver's ed instructor does most of the driving? In order to keep the entire class alert, the teacher is under pressure to maintain a fast pace, asking questions and expecting short, quick, and correct answers from the students. In one study, the researchers found that the teachers asked 1,387 questions and waited on average only 2.1 seconds for a student to respond before repeating the question, rephrasing, or calling on another student to answer. It seems obvious that if the teacher expects an answer within 2 seconds, the student's answers would have to be one that requires little thought. Basically, what the students say is less important than how they say it. In addition to the teacher experiencing pressure to maintain speed for attention purposes, the students likewise feel stress due to what has been termed the audience effect. That is to say, the student whose turn it is to respond, knowing that the group of classmates and teacher are waiting in judgment, feels obligated to give a short, fast, and grammatically correct answer, paying little attention to the truth or depth of his or her utterance. To reiterate, in teacher-fronted situations, most speaking is initiated by the teacher, usually in the form of questions. In fact, a study found that teachers asked 13 times as many questions as the students asked. The students usually responded to these questions in declarative sentences. Evidently, such an arrangement would not adequately prepare students for a conversation outside the classroom in which they would be expected to not only answer questions, but also ask questions and initiate conversations. As one scholar says, the tenor of all this research is that the teacher-centered classroom environment actually inhibits L2 acquisition because it does not offer any opportunity for authentic communication. Researchers have found that when students work in pairs, small group conditions, their production increased significantly compared to students in a teacher-fronted class. Not only did they speak more, but also they initiated topics, changed topics, expressed understanding, and asked for information. They also interrupted others, encouraged others, and agreed and disagreed with others more when in pairs and small groups. All of these are the types of techniques that students will need to be able to use in conversational situations inside and beyond the classroom. However, just putting students with another student or in small groups and telling them to talk isn't very effective for promoting specific conversation or discussion skills. There are necessary ingredients for successful pair small group work in conversation classes. In other videos, I discuss these necessary ingredients for making effective group activities. I also discuss the role of the teacher during pair group work, and I discuss some common myths about group work. Also, for more discussions about teaching ESL, please visit my blog, Common Sense ESL. I'm planning to continue to add more videos about teaching ESL conversation, writing, reading, and grammar to my channel, Student-Centered Teaching ESL by David Kehe. Feel free to subscribe. See you next time.